On this day, September 27, 1937, the world's first Santa Claus school opens. It is still open now. In 1937, a man called Charlie Howard decided to turn his Albion farmhouse into a school. But this was to be a school like no other. For the next 3 decades, Charlie's New York school would receive worldwide recognition for turning out the best Santa Claus in the business. Being so highly regarded in the subject of Christmas, Charlie would go on to be the technical advisor for the movie Miracle on 34th Street, as well as holding the role of Santa in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade for 17 years. But how did it all begin? Charlie was born in New York in 1896. A creative child, at a very early age he was given a coping saw by his aunt. He used this tool to make toy furniture. As he grew older, Charlie's skill excelled and he was hired to set up a festive workshop in the window of a local furniture store. Dressed as Santa Claus and creating wooden toys, children began forming a line outside the store to watch Charlie at work. Realizing just what a great Santa he made, Charlie soon got his next job in a department store in Rochester, New York. It was a chance meeting with a little girl there that would help him understand the true role of Saint Nick in the world of childhood. One morning, a little girl came in and watched him work. She stood there for some time before she ventured closer. Then, a step at a time, she walked up to him and very timidly asked, "Santa, will you promise me something?" Santa looked at the child and said, "What is it you want me to promise?" He had already learned that promises sometimes meant heartaches. He did not want to make any mistakes. However, this child seemed so sincere, so earnest. He took her little hand in his. The child drew closer, looked up into his face with all the love and trust that a 5-year-old could, and whispered, "Will you promise me you will never shave?" It wasn't what he had expected, but all at once he realized that if Santa meant that much to that child, it must mean just as much to hundreds of others. Who was this old fellow who meant so much to the children? Where did he come from? What did he stand for? Why did he wear that red suit? Why was it trimmed with white fur? Why this? And why that? Charlie Howard spent the next few years learning all he could about the history of Santa Claus. His skills soon saw him in high demand, and the more he saw of other Santas wearing frayed costumes and cheap beards, the more he wanted to ensure children got the real deal. This planted the seed for a themed school where he could teach others the true art of being Santa Claus. In 1937, the school opened with a class of 3 men, consisting of a welder from New Jersey, a neighbor, and a friend. Over the years, Charlie perfected the school. Men would travel from afar to learn the history and the art of showmanship that was integral to the successful portrayal of Santa. Charlie's wife cooked hearty meals for the students every day at noon before they hurried off to their next lesson. In time, the lessons expanded, with experts being called in to teach specific skill sets. An example being the lessons given by Ed Butters, a reindeer expert who taught the future Santas how to handle the animals with the confidence and ease children would expect from the man in red. With the arrival of World War II, the Santa Claus school began to struggle. Some stores began employing women with deep voices to play the role, and in one store at least, customers complained when they spotted Santa in the ladies' restroom. Thankfully, Charlie's school survived the war and went on to flourish, with department stores sending groups of Santas to learn the trade. In 1966, the most visible Santa Claus in the United States died, but the school he had so lovingly grown continued. Today, the Charles W. Howard Santa Claus School is run in Midland, Michigan, under the expert direction of Tom and Holly Valant, who have spent 30 years portraying Mr. and Mrs. Claus. Annually, 300 Santa Claus, both new and returning, pass through the school. Charlie summed up the concept of Santa Claus perfectly. To say there is no Santa Claus is the most erroneous statement in the world. Santa Claus is a thought that is passed from generation to generation. After time, this thought takes on a human form. Maybe if all children and adults understand the symbolism of this thought, we can actually attain peace on earth and goodwill to men everywhere.